Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to WCA 2014. It's been an interesting day. It seems all the games are going to be happy at once today. We have three best of threes going on simultaneously. So as this one gets underway, this is game one of a best of three. It's LGD Gaming versus Vici Gaming, and this is a lower bracket showdown for both teams. The loser of this match will be eliminated. The winner goes on to play the winner of Cloud9 versus Malaysia. That series currently ongoing. I believe it's a quadcast now with 1437 Bulba, Arteezy, and someone else. I forget who the fourth person is. Yeah, something's crazy is going on in that channel. But yeah, twitch.tv/DotaStarlighter_N for that one. And of course, Newbie versus Alliance best of three. Your winner bracket final. So the loser not eliminated, and the winner moving ahead into the grand finals. Guaranteed, I believe, close to $100,000. So yeah, that's at twitch.tv/Beyond the Summit 2. What is hip? And Vikraman will be bringing that, but we are here for LGD Gaming versus Vici Gaming. So, yeah, it's been an interesting day, to say the least. And, well, with that said, of course, I do have company here. I'm LD, and I'm joined by Blitz. Hey, Blitz.
Hello, what's up, man?
Yeah, that's a long intro, but just want to make sure everyone knows all the streams. So, what can you do?
No, not much. And I can't blame you. This must be so hard to just, keep track of what's going on while making sure everything's running smoothly.
Okay, you have the experience when I heard that there were going to be three games at once, because we already were planning on two, and it was going to be a little stretch because we started the Summit 2 qualifiers, and of course we want to stream our tournament. So Kano got scheduled to do that. I was going to do WCA. I thought there would be one game at once because there's only 4 games today, which in theory you can get done in one day.
Yeah.
But they don't give us the schedule. Like, they just refuse to give us the schedule. I'm asking everyone. I'm asking the players. The players don't know. The players find out the day of. Oh, by the way, in 3 hours you're going to be playing your match. It's like, what?
I remember you asked me to co-cast almost 2 hours ago, saying hey, can anybody hop on in a few minutes?
Yeah, and the other series did start fairly quickly today, I will say. Like, it was only like a 25-minute delay, which for a LAN is, even out in general, it's just not a big deal. And certainly, given by the standards WCA has had so far, it was a big improvement. But yeah, well, it's been an interesting day. And, well, I guess the good news is there's a lot of quality Dota going on. It's just a shame that it's all kind of lumped in at the exact same time. But, well, with that said, draft's underway, buddy. So everything looking pretty standard thus far for the version. I do want to point out, and we've seen quite a few teams try this, that Vici Gaming loves their two, I almost want to call them just cheese strats, the Drow Visage and the Tiny Wisp. And LGD take the approach of just banning out half of those duos in the first phase. So that's kind of the unusual thing for teams who are outside of Vici Gaming, but for Vici, it's pretty standard for their opponents to do this.
Yeah, and Vici have actually taken the Centaur Skywrath, the combo that we saw when we casted, kind of. I want to say we casted because something happened and your internet died for 40 hours or some shit.
A terrible, terrible thing happened.
Yeah, they kept picking, if you remember, Skywrath Centaur, and they used it to fantastic effect against C9, and Vici actually take it first. I know Vici lost to Alliance earlier, right? Yesterday?
Yes, they lost. Let me actually bring up my bracket. Honestly, I've had trouble following this tournament considering all the schedule stuff.
Okay.
Which is bad when the casters are having trouble. But yeah, they lost 2-0 to Vici Gaming.
Yeah.
Or out to Alliance, rather.
I kind of saw the games, and it seems like the way to play against Vici is to kind of play a little bit more patiently and safe and just kind of take things into the late game because those guys like to run at you. But the weird thing is LGD does the same exact thing, right? Like, their playstyle isn't the whole we're going to farm, slow push, take it to the late game right or anything like that. They just try to set up kills around the map, get any sort of snowball advantage, Roshan, and then just pick you apart.
Yeah, LGD Gaming, on the other side, just really doesn't seem to have much of a style, to be honest, that I can point to. And their drafts have just been kind of a little bit of everything. Like, we've seen a smattering of aggressive ganking duos for MMY and Faith. Normally, they tend to pick MMY, something that can scale a bit later into the late game. You know, the Lion, occasionally a Disruptor, who's a somewhat forgotten hero as of late. I think we saw him yesterday. Angelai is generally on that initiating offlaner, like the Batrider, the Centaur, and they tend to pick like kind of the more standard carries for this version. So you see some Weavers, some Death Prophet, once in a while like a safe lane Centaur if they really want to go for mid-game aggression, but I haven't seen them do anything crazy. They've run a little Sylar Morphling, so they've done some dual lanes with the Lich, and that's not going to happen this game. Obviously, Lich was banned out, but Yeah, I just feel like part of the issue with LGD, it's players from 4 different teams. Actually, if you want to count Yao and Sylar as not really being recent teammates, then it's 5 different teams, and maybe that's part of the issue. Is this team just lots of star players, but doesn't really seem to have a clear identity? If they can put it together, I think they're going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in China, just based on talent alone. But you say that about a lot of teams, and the reality is sometimes they just don't put it together ever.
Yeah, and LGD, it seems when I look at their drafts, they draft really old school. Like it doesn't seem like they've updated their picks with the patch whatsoever. Like they still pick the same 3 or 4 cores that were popular at TI4, and I think that's just a product of, like you said, 5 different identities, right? Like if most of the time when teams change, it's like 1 or 2 players change, and then you work around like the players you have remaining, right? Like with Alliance and
Right.
Bulldog, you're always gonna try to play that split push style. But with LGD, it just seems like they're kind of trying to play the way that LG did at TI4, which is just flat out aggression, get the blink daggers, get the ball rolling, pick off carry heroes. But now it seems like they kind of mix it up, but they're still unsure of where their style should lie.
Yeah, I'm wondering if part of it is just too many cooks syndrome. I have no idea what their draft discussions are like, but these are all accomplished players, right? And generally, if you're talented and you've been there, you tend to have a little bit more of a voice in the room and more confidence in your opinions. That's just kind of natural. So, well, who knows? That's all speculation. Unfortunately, I don't speak Chinese and don't have much access to these players directly. But one hero that was interestingly ignored the entire draft was Terrorblade. It's finally banned on the 5th phase. I cast with PPD yesterday, Blitz, and he thinks this hero is second only to Death Prophet and right now in terms of just like ridiculousness, where it can split push great, it can go late game, it can win throne races, can take Roshan. Well, Terrorblade not so good at taking the Roshan, but still okay for it, I suppose. And just basically one of those ridiculous DPS carries in this version.
Yeah, I remember. Well, you weren't there yesterday, but you remember the C9 game that we were casting before you dropped out? The score was something ridiculous. It was like 20-4, and like all the towers were being taken and stuff. And I thought the game was gonna be over like wham bam really quickly, right? Like EE was Terrorblade. He started like 1-3, and then he just became a monster in the late game. Like they couldn't ever kill him. His illusions just did too much. They were able to siege, with the metamorphosis illusions. Like that hero like single-handedly won them the game, and it's kind of a surprise to see it slip through so far. I guess with the Skywrath and the Centaur, LGD didn't want to pick it up because that is a lot of crowd control early game to pick him off, and Terrorblade isn't really going to do a whole lot against Skywrath. Skywrath's like fantastic early game just because the concussive shot will always follow you even if you have 3 illusions off.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is pretty vulnerable to the burst damage of a Scarlet Mage Centaur. But LGD get the answer to Spectre, and this is something that the Chinese teams have actually been running a lot of. The Tongfu Old Boys were the first to do it. Their execution was a bit lacking, but the idea was fantastic, which is you get that Aghanim Scepter or Necrophos, you kill the Spectre with your ult, no buyback haunt. And that really just defeats the point of the hero, which is, in these late game scenarios, if it's a tight match, you throw a body away, and then you come roaring back with haunt and just wipe up and mop up these relatively low HP heroes. So that's the theory, anyway, behind the Necrophos. Obviously, it gives you some other things. The Heals Knight, Heartstopper R is good against a tank like Spectre, but that seemed to be the main reason for the pick, and it has worked. I saw Tongfu Old Boys beat, maybe it was Rave.
Yeah,
Rave already the Spectre. You probably watched that game.
Yeah, I did. It was like the game should have been, if it was not a Necro in that game, Rave 10 times out of 10 wins that game. And even with the Necro, I think they still should have won. But the idea behind the hero is so solid, right? Just because of the change with, especially his Reaper sight. Without the Aghanims, it adds like 30 seconds, right? To the timer on death.
Yeah. It adds...
That's actually insane. Yeah, it's 30 seconds. So
at all
in the
levels,
early game,
yeah.
if you kill like a support, it's gonna take like 60 seconds just for them to revive. That's unbelievable to me.
It is pretty disgusting. By the way, because I know some people do ask occasionally, the BTS HUD is finally in the game. It's been since February when we thought it would be added, but yeah, I just bought one because I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah, sell out mode, man. Sell out mode. Sell out mode activate. Man, I've been waiting for 7 months for this. All right, I'm allowed to sell it a little bit, but anyway, we'll introduce it just a little. We'll introduce the teams now. LGD. We'll have Faith playing the Earthshaker, formerly of IG. Sylar playing the Necrophorus, formerly of VG. And before that, back to his old team in LGD. Momoya, most recently of DK on the Disruptor. That puts Yao onto the Death Prophet mid. He was actually on LGD at TI4, and that leaves Injuly as your offlane Bat Rider, who was on one of the, I forget which team, one of the the competitive tier 2 teams prior to this. But on the side of Vici Gaming, a team that's been dominating China but finds themselves in a difficult position in the lower bracket. You've got FY on the Rubik. Fenrir will be playing the Scarth Mage. These guys are just the kings of Chinese support, and really support anywhere. I've put like 4 BTS moments up for FY in the past few weeks, and he's earned them too. Black will be playing your Spectre in the safe lane. Super, the Alchemist mid, and that leaves Ice as the off-lane Centaur War Runner.
I actually like LGD's lineup a whole lot. Just looking at both lineups, you have a Spectre who needs a lot of space. You can't lose a lot of towers as a Spectre, right? Because you just need places to farm. And LGD just have a ton of push. They have a lot of ways to gank without being punished for it, like sans the Centaur ult. And Vici actually don't have a lot of ways to stop a push. Like, their only way of long range like nuking is the Rubik nuke, which, you know, he has a really crap mana pool, so it's not even that great, and the Acid Cloud. And once you have a mech, you can negate both of those advantages. So I think once for LGD, they get the ball whirling, the Death Prophet hits like level 7, I think they should start grouping up. Either they wait for a few levels or they go for the mech timing.
Okay. So yeah, and they are going to be strong in that stage of the Death Ball, whereas you look at Vici, they have the deep push if they get their levels up on the Rubik. That's really the big thing. But like you said, it might be hard to find those early. And, you know, for Vici Gaming, this is a team that really made their mark at TI on the back of roaming, as we might see a jump in bottom lane on Black, but I don't think there's too much they can do to a Spectre with a level 1 Bat Rider. Yeah, so they're not going to bother. But yeah, is the early roaming from Vici. They did it better than anyone else at TI4, in my opinion, and probably the big reason, or the biggest reason why they did so well at that event. And well, LGD, definitely familiar with the FY Fenris support duo. Yao was just hugging this tower mid, and he smelled out the gank, was able to dodge it.
Yeah, and man, they play so well together. I really like the fact that they're taking this Rubik for FY. I'm anticipating ridiculous stuff being done, like Echo Slams being stolen. I'm pretty certain he's going to get like a DP ult at some point in this game as well.
Did you see that BTS moment?
Yeah,
he might actually die here while we're praising him. He's in a lot of trouble. 4 napalm stacks. There's about to be a fit. Oh, FY. I am so sorry, no, the South! The South! In July, he could have probably run him down for one more auto attack, but he just didn't account for it, I guess. And I mean, it's worth it, obviously, not to give up a first blood, but it is still very expensive. He has to waste the South, and he has to walk back to base, so you still have to call that a win for LGD, but man, it could have been a much bigger win than that.
Yeah, and they were able to send him back on top of that. I don't think the Skyrath has that much money either, and he's going to have to crow it. FY is super poor. He's only level 1 at 2 minutes, and this is a pretty good start for LGD. They were able to kind of shut down the roaming, play pretty safe. The Centaur's not getting too much relatively. If Sylar can get some free farm and get a little bit tankier, he should be doing quite well. And even with the help that Super was given mid, this Death Prophet is still winning pretty handily in CS as well. So I think overall for LGD, not a bad trade.
They want the Earthshaker, though. They know they can't go on the Bat Rider, but he's going to TP out instantly. Faith, calm under pressure. He is forced off the lane just for a lift and a couple auto attacks, but once they use that lift, they have no follow-up stuns, so very well played by him, and he'll make his way out. So it's quite a few gank attempts thwarted this game. The smoke gank mid dodge, the FY able to salve dodge a first blood, and well, not really a gank per se, but now the TP out. This is a very good defensive start for both teams.
Yeah, and I still favor LGD a little bit here, because if you notice, both of their supports are only level 1. They clearly anticipated the roaming going a bit better than this, and if you notice, just MMY on his own is level 3 already as a support. Same with the Earthshaker. So collectively, they've got like 4 levels on them, and I think Vici, they're not exactly the type of lineup that can just stack and pull, especially against Bat Rider, who's just going to Firefly and steal the experience every time.
Yeah, he's at least going to leech it, probably going to even get some creep kills in the process, and they're not that good at killing the Bat Rider with just the Scarth Mage Rubik, and at least not now. If they get some more levels on them, then sure, but he's going to be able to collect a lot out of this offlane, and in July, making a move back towards mid, now back down to the rune where FY does wait. Maybe they'll get a big reroll. Simultaneously top, oh, this is going to be their first blood, I think. Super caught out, turns with the stun, but he ends up going down. It's first blood the way of LGD. Ice may fall as well with the kinetic field holding him in place. It's a secondary kill. First blood to Faith, second kill to Yao. And as though they weren't doing well enough, this is really going to snowball their lineup.
Yeah, that's two cores down, like this early into the phase. Like you never want to see your mid hero go down, much less your offlane hero. And this is what I was talking about. I think that LGD just kind of picked the more stable lineup. Like Vici is so incredibly reliant on getting ganks off, but it's so obvious at the same time, right? Because they're not going to be able to stack and pull, like I said. So they're going to have to go around the map trying to do stuff. But that just kind of alerts Yao, and all he has to do is play safe and spam the Crypt Swarm and Bottle Crow, which is what he's doing right now. And Vici should kind of like be spotted out every single time. Like, look at this. The Bat Rider's just going to Firefly around. They're not really accomplishing anything with this.
Not to mention, it's a Rubik with no boots, so like even if they do smoke gank, it's not that easy to get in range. Death Prophet's fast, Earthshaker's good at disengaging, and your Bat Rider can always Firefly to retreat, so... I mean, if they had the level advantage, maybe they can go for those kills, but I definitely agree with you that given their start, it's going to be very difficult, and, well, in July, we'll get caught out now. They're going to rotate in the Alchemist. This is the extra damage they need. It's not the longest duration stun from Super, but it is enough, and meanwhile, top lane, Ice pursued out and brought down by the lightning damage of MMY. Sylar actually the one to get the last hit. About to level 6 now. And I imagine we're just going to see, as far as items go, Blitz, it is looking good for LGD. I'm expecting probably the early Yules on Yao, the mech on your Necrolite, and then a Blink on the Bat. And with those three, I think they could just start taking towers. Would you agree with that? Is there anything you would add or say they should do differently?
No, I don't actually even think they need the Bat Rider Blink. Like, they can delay on that. The big item here that you're looking out for is the mech on the Necrolite. Once he gets that, it's going to be really difficult for them to initiate, especially with the kind of start that Ice has had. Like, if Ice had a much better start here on the Centaur, maybe they could force things to burst down the Necro, but he's not going to get a Blink Dagger for quite some time. Definitely not by the time the Necrolite picks up a mech. And so that's kind of your timing window where the Necro can just kind of sit behind like the front line. They have a lot of good counters to the Stampede with the Disruptor Ring, the Earthshaker Fissure. If you just think about it like that, like they have a ton of ways to just stop the early game aggression of Vici's ultimates.
Well, they might not need a fast Blink, but in July is about to clear off quite a few big creeps, so he may get it at a reasonable time anyway if he opts to just skip the Tranquil Boots. Already has his bottle, so not really that desperate for regen, and this goes back to what you were mentioning, just the supports of LGD have prioritized stacking and their economy, whereas Vici prioritized ganking and rune control to some extent, but it just hasn't paid off for them. Now, the one good piece of news for Vici is that Black is farming very well in the safe lane on the Spectre. He's up to 1,100 gold, and what do you think as far as your Spectre goes? Can he get away with an early Radiance, or is this a game where he just has to get involved with how the game's going? Well, he's going to try to now, so I guess we have our answer. Black jumping in, he'll go into MMY, gets that initial Desolate damage off. Phase Boots are here, and Exorcism coming in. This is going to chunk down Black. He's got to be careful not to fall. Yao could go for another Crypt Swarm, but the sticks will keep him alive, and Super scatters to the south. Looks like he'll make his way out in the end. Man, that's a Haunt forced out. An Exorcism is the trade, and I guess it's not going to amount to a tower.
Yeah, not a whole lot being done there. And as you were saying with the Spectre's item build, I guess he has to go for the Radiance. I mean, it's so good against LGD's lineup, right? They've got two Blink Initiators, especially the Bat Rider. It completely screws him over. But against this kind of lineup, if LGD plays this correctly and don't get picked off in the early phase, I think that it's not going to come at a reasonable enough time. But as weird as that sounds, I still think you have to go for it.
Okay. The other build that's been very popular in China, and I think in general at this point a lot of players have been using it, is just that Urn Rush. And maybe you don't even complete a Drums or something more expensive, but with Haunt, you're generally guaranteed to be involved in kills. So you get a lot of early Urn charges. It helps your mana issues, which, I mean, Spectre has awful mana regen, and Dagger is not a cheap spell by any means. 140 mana for an agility hero with a low intelligence pool, so... and of course, it gives you some sustain so you don't have to go to base. It's kind of like the cheaper option as opposed to the Vanguard or Drums. But it seems for now Black may see if he can... Oh no, actually he's just bought something. Never mind that. So it's a Bracer.
Yeah, he got a Bracer. I kind of actually agreed with you with the Urn thing there. I think you need some sort of HP. I don't know if he'll finish Drums. I don't think he should. I definitely don't think they can fight early on if he just picks up Drums if LGD were to Deathball. But maybe the Bracer is just there for the added HP for now. But I think picking up a Drums like in its entirety, I mean, look how much gold he has right now. It would, I guess it'd finish in the next 2 minutes, but that means your Radiance, unless things go exceedingly well and you're pushing towers, which Vici Gaming won't, it's not going to come till like 20 minutes, and that's assuming that he's able to just get like free space around the map, and I definitely don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, the one thing that I will say is I think Necrophos is one of the best heroes in the game against Radiance. If your team sticks together and he just keeps on death pulsing, it largely negates the spread damage of a Spectre. So maybe that's what Black's thinking is, if I just rush a Radiance but we let this Necrophos free farm and take towers, I'm not actually going to be able to do much in fights. So we'll see if that's the thought process. For now, LGD grouped up top simultaneously. So too is a Smoke Vici, and they're going to charge in here. Spectre haunting in. He's going to start getting massive Desolate damage out. Can go for MMY if he haunts in a bit further, but not quick enough on that second reality. And it's just Super who's chasing. He gets clips back, though. MMY will keep him out, and they may be forced to TP away for this tower. For now, this opens up Yao in the middle lane. Perhaps he tries to Exorcism and go for the tier 1 mid. Although for now, it seems he'll check the rune, and it's a bounty he'll claim. Yeah, looks like, once again, a lot of spells used, but fairly little actual results obtained. Just the 1 kill for a 5-hero commitment.
It's still okay, though, because this is exactly what Vici need to do. They need to kind of divert LGD's focus away from, like, deathballing up, and especially getting the kill on the Necro. That's the hero that you want to take down, because Necro pretty much had his mechanism finished, but now that he's dead, it's going to be delayed for another 500 gold. That means he's going to have to TP to the lane, and if he's going to TP to the top lane, that means LGD, that's the lane they're going to commit to, and it makes it really easy for Black to just continue to farm, because he'll say to himself, okay, the Necro just TP top, that means at least 2 heroes are going to be behind him in case my team decides to go on him again, and he can't be safe by himself. So this just gives me a little bit more time to farm out the safe lane.
Yeah, and the one thing that Vici love about this Alchemist, we saw it with the old Vici, they were doing it for a long time, and one of the only teams that really did it efficiently at TF4 is just this Ancient clearing with max Acid Spray. He normally maxes it first, but Super did max the Concoction, and still, you can see the Ancients are dropping rather quickly to this. So the beautiful thing about this is, he's so good at killing them, and it's really safe for him, that he could just give a support the mid lane. They get a lot of levels in FY, this helps him to catch up, and your Radiant supports are actually out-leveling the Dire supports now, after a very slow start, so it's really the power of these early Ancient stacks coming into play now for Vici, and FY God will pick up his Arcane Boots, and now has his level 6 as well.
Yeah, I'm actually so surprised that he's got that much farm at that many levels, considering he was like level 1 at 4 minutes or something stupid like that, and his first like 4 ganks failed. But the fact that he's got this much farm, and that he's got the Arcane Boots, him and Super alone should be able to stop any sort of creep push.
Yeah, especially if he steals Crypt Swarm, which is a pretty damn hard spell to not give away as well. I mean, I guess you can use a Silence to prevent the steal, but all top lane, they've lassoed Ice Ice Ice, caught him out, Stampede's available, but not gonna matter. Kill secured by Sylar with the ult, and with the Centaur down, can they push? That's gonna be the question. There is a buyback on the Centaur if he wants to use it, but that will delay his blink a lot. Yeah, they're rotating that way.
I don't think you go for the buyback here in any cost. Like, unless you could actually 3 or 4 man wipe LGD. Especially because I think even like a delayed Blink Dagger, the biggest thing is just Ice 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 hasn't been given a lane to farm.
He just stole Reaper's Scythe. I'm not even sure if it's that great of a spell this early, but that's definitely not one you want to be giving away later on, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't actually know how he takes that. Like, Death Pulse has such a low cooldown.
And you've got the mana to support it, thanks to your Sadist.
I guess it's the best thing you can give away, though, right? Because Death Pulse early on would be so annoying to play against.
It's probably better, yeah. I mean, yeah. Also, I still feel Crypt Swarm is... That or Fissure are probably the 2 best spells to steal at this stage of the game, because he doesn't have a blink to really take advantage of Lasso. I guess Glimpse wouldn't be too shabby, but... Hey man, it's a good game to be a Rubik. There's a lot of powerful spells to steal.
Yeah, I'm so certain FY at some point is going to steal the DP ult as well. Like, that happens to me, like, all the time. Like, I'll Brain Fart and not Crypt Swarm if there's no creeps, or I won't cast Silence, and he's, like, the type of player that would definitely be able to get something like that.
There will be a rotation off the top lane now. It's a smoke from Vici Gaming Super in the front lines with a double damage rune just now activated. They're going to Observer Ward so they can hopefully get up this cliff uncontested, but Faith revealed them, and Vici just can't do anything to jump him. So they still go on top lane. Sylar could get called out here. They're going to Haunt in. Didn't get the sound effect for it, but the stun will come through now, and they'll dive this Necrophos behind the tower. Even stampeding in, and the stolen Reaper Scythe secures the kill, but there's no passive here on the Rubik, so he doesn't get a full mana pull off of that.
Yeah, but he does make the Necro dead for 65 seconds.
That's true. That is very
that's
true.
That's unbelievable. I still can't wrap my head around, like, how long that is.
For this stage of the game, you're dead for 30 seconds. It's like... It doubles your death timer at this stage.
Yeah, it actually just stops a push for like an entire minute.
It's
And that's
almost
so
worse than
huge for
later on.
Black.
Oh, they just lassoed a Centaur illusion. Oh no. Ice with the clutch baits. FY now TP'd and he's gonna steal Fissure. Another great spell. Ice will move in. Can he get a good Fissure off? He does. It's on the Bat Rider though. Not really the hero they can be jumping. So they hold the line in the end. And all the while, the clock ticks, and it starts to tick a lot quicker now, Will. The Black is up to 3,000 gold. Almost level 11. He's 1-0-1. Your highest level hero in the game. And this is a Spectre basically being left completely alone.
Yeah, I thought at some point LGD would just kind of group up, but they lost the Necrolite like at 2 key points, and look how much that's just slowed down the push. They have the mechanism, but like right before he was about to get the mech, he died at top, if you remember, and once he picked up the mech, he went top and then died again, while LGD were trying to put pressure around the rest of the map, and they haven't actually been able to take a single tower. Like, that blows my mind right now. It really does. Like, they've got a Death Prophet, a mech at... They got it at like 12 minutes or something dumb like that. A ton of gap closing spells, and they still haven't been able to pick up any sort of towers.
And this is with a Centaur that still doesn't have a blink. Like, there's not even great counter initiation for Vici right now. It's just an Alk stun and spam. Obviously, Haunt is nice, but the tower mid finally goes down. LGD will claim that, and the tier 1 top is the choice next. They're going to group up here, start to rotate and amble towards it, but this pretty much guarantees Black will get the relic before the next fight, as long as he doesn't haunt in and die. So, well, we're gonna find out soon enough the power of this Reaper Scythe. That's always the X factor. No matter how fat the Spectre is, you could be at like half health and still just get destroyed by that spell with an Aghanims.
Yeah, I mean, Necro still kind of... It does really well against the Spectre. Like, all of the Spectre skill sets, I think it's like the only real hard counter aside from straight up pushing. But at the same time, like, if Black just plays really patiently with his Haunt, he can just Haunt in, obliterate the back line of LGD, while you've got like the Centaur... One Centaur Ice, he's gonna pick up his Blink within like 20 minutes or so. And if Super can get like one sort of like DPS item, I don't think it'll really matter. Because who do you go for at that point, right? Like, you've got to stop the Centaur, but you've also got to stop like the Alchemist as well. There's just so many targets right now for LGD.
Yeah, to be fair, these will be squishy illusions, and Radiant Spurn is somewhat dealt with by the early mech, and as well as the Necro heals, but I am still kind of just generally on the same page as you. They just need to do more. They've got to be able to take a Roshan, take a tier 2, or at least find multiple kills, and the team looking for kills is actually Vici Gamey right now. There's no Blink Dagger yet on that Centaur, but he has Stampede ready, and they're going to smoke and walk straight up the ramp. They're just perched in position on the high ground, just chilling, while Super smacks creeps. And simultaneously, LGD, they can't think that this is a free kill. Oh, maybe they do! They jump in on Ice. The Disruptor ultimate's there, holding quite a few heroes out with the Static Storm Kinetic Field combo. You Super will end up going down first and foremost. Ice, caught out as well, gets off the double edge, but Faith will stick through this, ends up surviving, and they're looking for that third kill now as they chase onwards. Fenrir on the way out. FY also forced to TP out. Is there a Yules? Is there a Flame Break? Nothing. He'll make his way out. No Glimpse either. And the Spectre didn't die, crucially. 3,700 net worth, but still a big win for LGD. 1,500 gold swing, and, well, more importantly, they're delaying the Centaur Blink. Will, this is 18 minutes in. I've seen Ice get this at like 11 or 12 minutes, man.
Normally, you'll see like the offlaner rotate to the mid lane to try to catch up, but that's what actually FY had to do. And although FY got the early levels and he got his Arcane Boots really quickly, it came at the cost of the Centaur. Because the Centaur was just like stuck up at top. And whenever anybody died, it was always him at the top lane. And LGD... I mean, Vici is doing the smart thing. If you have a Spectre, the way you play is not... The way you play proper Turtle is you have to go for those kills to try to open up the map. Like, even picking off a hero like Bat Rider and Earthshaker or something like that, like, that's half of the team's gank potential right now. Like, off the map gone. And so it opens up the rest of the map for Black to farm freely. But at the same time, like, initiating like that was just kind of a bad idea.
Yeah, it was very risky, and it was just an awkward position to fight from, because when you're up on this hill, like, they actually can come at you from the high ground, so which is what we saw there. And they can come at you from the trees as well. Like, it's one thing to bait up on this hill, where you're the team that kind of hides in the fog and has the jump, but they, on top of that, put their key initiator in harm's way in the Centaur. He was the one, without a blink, just kind of running towards LGD, and yeah, it just was a sloppily executed smoke gank attempt overall. And that, at the same time, Black will get his relic, but LGD just it seems like they're gonna need, I don't know, Blitz, like pick and pushes, I would say, to kind of try and use that term. Just like not just getting that kill, but then transitioning into a tower on the back of it. They definitely have the push potential, but these waves are not really that favorable right now. Most of them are actually pushing in.
Especially since Black, I mean, I thought he would get like the Radiance at around 20 minutes. It has been delayed by quite some time, just because they haven't really been able to pick up any tower kills. But on this, like on the flip side, Vici are still doing a pretty good job of holding the line.
So FY just used this stolen Reaper Scythe just to try and prevent Sylar from Reaper Scything him, and then Sylar still ended up getting it off, so he's dead for a minute. Oh, that was... How does he keep on stealing the spell? I mean, like you said, Death Pulse is a really low cooldown. It doesn't have a cast animation at all, so, I mean... Maybe he wants it to be stolen. I don't know. Does he think it's better than the heal?
At this point, there's no way. Like, remember when he died to it? Like, he was dead for like 70 seconds.
It's like being a pudge and letting the enemy team steal your hook. Like, just rot. Just rot as soon as you hook. Like,
there's absolutely no cast animation. You don't have to use it for creeps. I just think he's being a little bit lax about making sure that it's not being stolen.
Okay, if there's one Rubik that you don't want to be lax about your spell protection against, it's got to be FY. I mean, there's a few other players you could certainly put Kroki on that list. Oh, Faith gets caught out. Ice finally has his Blink Dagger, and with that they will manage to bring down the Earthshaker. Big pickoff. Haunt was used for this though. Now coming in, Black doesn't have much to follow this up. I think he used his dagger to farm a lane or something, but yeah, didn't have any real chase potential from there.
Yeah, still going okay, I guess, for LGD. I still think they're on a bit of a timer. Like I still think they need to end the game at a reasonable time, or at least apply so much pressure that Black has to like take a lot of risks to farm. But Vici or LGD is they're still pretty okay. Like Yao has a ton of farm. The Necrolight's about to pick up his Aghanim Scepter. Like he's all the way there pretty much. The Bat has tons more farm than the Centaur ever will. Like Ice is like in Povertyville.
Ice isn't even on food stamps. He's digging food out of the dumpster, and it's been rotten for a few days already. That's how poor this poor guy is. Oh man.
I wish there was like a follow-up joke I could make to that, but that's how I pretty much lived my life up until I was 24.
I could have just said Ice is basically you, Blitz, but
I mean that would have been a compliment right now to his farm, right? Like holy crap.
Yeah, big compliment, man. Big compliment.
I've never seen this guy like that under-farmed. And that just shows like how much LGD has done to kind of prevent him from picking up the Blink Dagger. They correctly assessed that the Centaur was the only hero that was going to really be able to pressure and get the instant initiates off. So it's only his Blink Dagger, right, that you're really too worried about. And he's going to get it eventually, and like 20 minutes into the game, him picking it up is just fine. Like he hasn't had too much impact on the game. Like he's 0-4-1 right now.
Oh man, who's rumbling in the jungle here? Nobody. Vici gave it a running away. And LGD, I don't think even realize they're up here, just want to farm. They do get down a nice aggressive Observer Ward. I'm not sure how much advantage they'll be able to take of this. They always have the Haunt factor, but outside of that, it's just really your Centaur who can get in close. So it's not an Aghanim for Sylar. It's actually a BKB.
Yeah, this is a great choice too, though. As long as he can avoid the Centaur Blink Stomp, like he should always be able to get the BKB off and go ham.
That is true. At the same time, you're still very tanky with the Ags, and you don't just get that kill, but you can take objectives off of that with a hero dead for forever, basically. Even at this stage, it's probably like a 70, 80, 90-second death timer, depending on their level.
Yeah, the only thing that's still going to kill him is like the Centaur Blink Stomp, right, into the Skywrath Ultimate Silence, and that's going to kill you before you can get the BKB off. So I kind of agree with that. I think the Ags might be the better choice here, but the BKB is definitely the safer choice.
The only other thing is, I just feel with the new patch in general, my experience has been early BKBs are generally just a bad idea, unless your lineup is extremely timing-centric, and
I guess this kind of is.
It kind of is. I think this Necrolite pick can actually beat a Spectre pretty late, if you get... I mean, it's dicey, though. You have to get off that good Reaper Scythe at the right time, right? So.
And your entire team can't die. Like, that's
true.
The big thing. If you just get kited as a Necrolite, it's the most miserable experience in the entire world. Like, you have to keep your team around you and, like, alive. That's the big thing. It's just a numbers game. Like,
that's true. And there is the Skywrath, so I suppose with Mystic Flare, anything is possible even against the Necrophos, but he'll still want to be very conservative with his BKB charges. When these wear off, it doesn't matter how farm your Necrophos is. He is going to just melt to Desolate Illusions, and Black still has to farm that Manta style. He's right now just picked up the Radiance at 1,000 gold, so he's a bit of a ways off, but well, he is catching up in terms of net worth now. Only about 800 short, 700 short, and we can do a quick tower check and see that it's dead even. Well, it's 3 for 3, so
That is so surprising.
a lineup running the Death Prophet Necrophos doesn't even have a tower advantage right now.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised that they're not just kind of barreling down and that they've had so much difficulty in doing so. Like we talked about, there's not a whole lot of creep clears. That's how you stop pushes, right? You're able to clear the creeps off from a distance, then LGD kind of have to use their heroes for, like, to just use his bodies to throw at the tower, and then it becomes really easy for the Centaur to get good initiations off. But just the fact that they haven't been able to push that many towers, I think it was like 16 minutes in when they took their first tier 2 with this lineup. I think that's just poor play.
Oh man, that fantastic Rubik lift instantly. Getting some animation glitches here, but Black will be glimpsed back to the top lane. Still LGD forced to retreat. Alk stun. Searching. Did end up getting off. Killed off the Earthshaker, so 2 falling and not looking for MMY. Stubble Edge is there. Not much follow-up for this, though. Have they managed to steal Glimpse? No, it's... unfortunately, it's a kinetic field. That would probably be another kill. So they get 2. It costs them nothing, and... well, Blitz, that's the power of FY. Just instant on that lift, and... the positioning was, to be fair, it didn't really look like that should have gone for that. That was just a very risky initiation without a BKB.
They probably just assumed that they were strong enough in the 5-man that it didn't really matter how we went in, but it totally did. Especially if you're going to go that far in, there's no way that your team can close the distance like you can. Like, how is LGD supposed to help out the Batrider in that position? Like, he's going to get instantly gipped, and then as soon as that happens, the Spectre just haunts in, and he's going to do like a load of damage. You have to run at that point.
Yeah, it's getting scary though now, because FY is getting close to his Blink Dagger, and we talked a lot about how Spectre can really counter these blinks. There's not much to counter them on LGD. You try and blink less of them, FY could just blink out. They don't have any like illusions that you can just send on a hero, so this frees FY up to steal some big spells, and I just have to go back to the last time I saw him play Rubik. He did it so fast that I actually had to watch the replay to see what happened. They were smoke ganking. He had stolen a fissure before the gank. The smoke was revealed. In like a quarter of a second, he fissures, hits all 3, then steals Chronosphere from Void, was expecting to get a Time Walk instead, and then ends up chronoing all 3 heroes, setting up his allied Sand King to hit a 3-hero Epicenter Burrow Strike, and they win the fight from there. Like, he's so good at Rubik that you can't even really catch what he's doing live in a lot of cases. That's the scary thing, and he's about to get that blink.
I was gonna say too, I was like, is Batrider really gonna look for the Rubik? Is like that worth your time? But maybe against like an FY Rubik, it is worth to pick off first, because you're never gonna get the Spectre if he's any smart. Like, he's gonna be completely separated from the rest of his team, and you're not gonna be able to kill Super if he's got his ult form off, or maybe the Centaur would be worth it as well. I don't think Skywrath is. So you're gonna essentially go for the Rubik or the Centaur, and I think especially as if you're like an FY Rubik, you definitely want to just take him out of the fight, so you don't have to worry about Echo or Fissure being stolen or something ridiculous coming your way.
Yeah, for now, LGD are massing up the BKBs, it looks like. They've already picked up 2. I imagine in July will be the 3rd. Yeah, he's got his Ogre Club, and once they get these 3 BKBs, that would seem to be the timing for them, where they want to try and force something. Ideally, secure an Aegis with the Death Prophet ult, and then once it's cooled down, the Exorcism. I would expect they're going high ground. I mean, if you wanted to take this late, I really don't see why you'd get the BKBs now. If you wanted to take it late, it would seem you should go for like the Ags on the Necro, maybe just a Heart on the Death Prophet, and then pick up your BKB as your 4th or 5th item. So it seems they've kind of laid their cards on the table as far as their game plan.
But I mean, if you go BKB at this phase of the game, what is Vici gonna do to your lineup, right?
They're gonna farm. They're gonna farm.
They're so heavily reliant on the magic damage at this point, with the Radiance Burn, with the Skywrath ultimate, like especially the Skywrath ult. That's like the only burst damage you have at this point with your lineup. And so if you're getting a BKB, Skywrath actually becomes the most worthless hero in Dota.
Well, that's like, a dead Alchemist. Haunt will come through, but Super's caught out. Lasso's gonna end, and well, he charges out the other direction. Maybe not with the BKB. He didn't pop his mech just yet. Mystic Flare pounding into Faith will bring him down. Maybe they bit off more than they could chew. Blitz, they're trying to retreat out. Sylar still has his ultimate. These heroes have to be careful not to overextend, and FY, well, he steals Death Pulse. This will basically allow his team to be at full health for round 2 of the fight, but Haunt is down in exchange for an Exorcism, so... well, if you can't even kill the Alchemist off, and... I mean, to be fair, he was an ult form, but that is not real reassuring for LGD.
Yeah, especially if you're trading, like you said, they just traded the Haunt for the Exorcism. I would take that trade like every single time. You need the Exorcism to push and fight, and without it up, you kind of just have to get into passive farming mode again. And I can't stress this enough. You're going into a passive farming mode against a
Oh,
Spectre.
Sylar, prepare to be dunked, my friend. They jump in, they get that initial Centaur stomped, and the follow-up out stuns there, and there's nothing that LGD can really do to save him. Sylar has a BKB and a mech, but Vici Gaming, not just finding that initial turn kill and effectively thwarting the gank of LGD, but then they immediately know what to do next. Smoke up, look for the Necrophos, and LGD just don't seem to quite have the same level of organization as a team in terms of their calls as Vici Gaming in general. They haven't really committed to the push. They haven't really committed to a Roshan attempt. They're almost just milling around, I feel, and it's not what you'd expect from these veteran players.
Yeah, they totally are. Anytime the Exorcism has been used, like half the time it's been used on to try to kill the Spectre, or like just try to pick off like random kills. Whenever they have gone for pushes, for some reason it always goes miserably, like with the bat jump in mid. And then it seems like once the push fails, they just abandon it completely.
And now the whole game plan seems to be falling apart. As Yao is pursued out, he'll take quite a bit of damage here. They'll end up losing 2 more heroes for nothing. This may buy time for Exorcism to cool down, but they're paying a heavy price for it. Spectre now the leader in net worth. That's never something you want to see after taking those early towers. And Black has nearly completed his Manta style. Yao may try to fight this, and they do have the Bat Rider, but Ninja able to juke away from a stomp. Still the chase on to Sylar. He'll pop his BKB and dodge the out stun, though not the damage. And now looks to retreat out. Haunt was used for this. They still have Exorcism, but they'll lack that Necrophos BKB. And Sylar's just drawn up. The stomp's there to catch out Yao on the backside. He can't even get off his ultimate. Oh no, this could go very poorly if they don't manage to focus these heroes down quickly enough. Yao on the retreat out, now being pursued, dropping low to the air charge, will end up falling. Simultaneously, this kinetic field was dropped. They kill off 2, and I believe managed to Reaper sight the Alk, getting some visual delay here. And Black will now be pursued by her Bat Rider. He'll end up falling. 3 heroes dead. It's a buyback on the Death Prophet, who did manage to reserve her ultimate, so they may be able to take bigger objectives. 4 heroes now fall. Fenrir barely able to survive, and well, LGD will go for the Roche. Should they be going Roche here, do you think, or should they even try to threaten the base?
I don't think that they're going to be able to threaten the base in time, especially with the tier 2 still up, and there is a glyph as well. I think Roshan is a much safer objective here on the map. Like, take the Roshan, put it on Sylar or Yao so they don't get bursted down before the fight, and then just play kind of safe.
Okay. Well, I think Vici Gaming got a little cocky there. They were, I believe, hoping to just burst down the Necrophos, but actually ended up finding the Death Prophet with their stun, and unfortunately Yao had a buyback. So they lose their Alchemist for like 90 seconds, and, well, just underestimating LGD's fight potential when they don't get jumped properly, or fully anyway. They just didn't quite have the burst damage that time.
If Vici isn't able to initiate pretty much perfectly, like they have to catch him before the BKBs go off, and like at the right angle where if they're able to split it off, get one hero, and then keep going, they should almost always be able to win the fight. But I think in a straight up sustained fight, where like everything's at like half HP for LGD, they'll almost always win that fight.
Well, it's going to be multiple Aghanims here for LGD. MMY's working towards one. He's got the level 2 Static Storm as well, so let's see, are there any really big items to disable? There are 2 BKBs in Vici, which would be great if you can Static Storm them before they pop them, and, well, then the rest of the heroes that will prevent FY from stealing big spells. Still doesn't have a Blink or a Force yet, though. He's getting close to one. So, item progression-wise, LGD just building kind of these cheap, cost-effective items for the most part. We're not seeing any big pickups like a Heart or Refresher just yet for Yao. No Shiva's Guard inbound, but those items will come if they're able to take some tier 2s, and they may be looking for that soon. Group up in the jungle. Will they smoke? No, don't have a smoke yet on any of their heroes.
Oh, that just picked up his own BKB as well.
So that's triple BKB. That's a big one, though. Because now we can't see FY get cute with the lifts anymore. Unless
He can still steal the lasso.
That's true.
I have faith in him.
Could steal the lasso, could steal the Necro ult to prevent the...
that would be brutal.
Just to stun the bat when he jumps in. That could be pretty sick.
Yeah, but I don't know how he's gonna... we said it like 6 times, but this time, I have no idea how he's gonna steal the Necro ult, like, to stop that. Like, he has to get in so close, he has to manage not to die, like, evade, like, 8 abilities, has to get through, like, the Earthshaker. I don't think there's any way he's gonna steal the Reaper Scythe.
Vici Gaming group up in the bottom lane now. Black, Ice Ice Ice, FY and Fenrir all collecting, and Super moving in to join them now on his Alchemist. Simultaneously, LGD off in their own woods. Both teams playing fairly defensive Dota. They're going to bait Black here in the bottom lane, though. To be honest, this is a rather obvious one. They see 0 heroes on the map. They have to suspect the Spectre as backup. And they're going to get some eyes now on Sylar as he moves through his own ramp and secret shop, and neither team in any hurry to fight.
I mean, I guess LGD, the big thing for LGD is if they lose a fight at this point, you're giving up so much space to Black, especially if he survives the fight. And so there's no reason for them to just headlong rush, pick up a bad fight, and then just get into a late game scenario with the Spectre. So I think they're doing the correct thing here. They're just waiting for Vici to start a bad fight or pick up a bad initiation, and LGD can turn it around. And they have a lot of push, so they can go down the base really quickly, whereas Vici doesn't really have too much split push. They don't really have a way to pressure around the map, aside from going for straight-up fights. So I think LGD is doing the correct thing here. They're just grouping up, they're getting around the map, they're picking up like items here and there, and I think they're pretty much just going for like the one-off fight, right? Like if you're able to pick off the Spectre, or if you're able to pick off the Alchemist with the Necro ultimate, then you can just like break up the high ground, because you know they'll be dead for that extra 30 seconds with no buyback.
Yeah, it's interesting to see a Spectre BKB this game. I guess it's somewhat of a response to the Necrolite, though. If you BKB before that ult comes out, you will be stunned, but you don't take that shattering amount of damage. It doesn't really address the Death Prophet DPS, though, and there is a lot of nuke damage outside of that, I suppose, with your Disruptor, but it's really not a common pickup on Spectre by any means. Normally we'll see the Heart, the completed Matza style, even a Butterfly before a Diffusal Blade, before anything like a BKB comes out, but this might be the kind of game where you just have to get it to deal with that Necrophos ultimate.
Yeah, if he didn't have a BKB here, he could just get fissured and then ulted, and he would totally die in like half a second.
That ult is so good, man.
It really is, like...
It's funny because I was casting with Synderen, and it was actually at 6.81. He's like, you know what would be great here? A Necrophos. I'm like, yeah, okay, Synd. How many Necrophoses have we seen in the past year? Like 3? They picked Necrophos.
I mean, it's with the change, it's legit.
No, this
added respawn
This
time?
was before the change, too.
I know.
He was just totally...
At that point.
See, that's such a win-win for him, because, like, well, it's like a win or lose nothing, right? If you say, Necrophos would be great here, they don't pick it, you know, nobody's gonna care. But if you're right, then you're like, everyone's like, oh my god, you're the biggest genius ever.
He really is.
He was so smug about it on Skype afterwards.
He needs to be, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy's fashion sense?
He's gotta make up for it somehow.
Yeah, he really does. Like, that's the only guy I know that wears socks with sandals.
And not only wears them, but, like, actively is proud of it, too. Not, like, slightly shameful, but, I don't care enough to change.
He's been trying to make jean shorts work since TI2, so... you gotta get him where you can take him.
Synderen, if you're listening, it's not happening. It's just not gonna happen.
I've known that guy since, like, 2007, and he hasn't, like, changed his style at all. That's a message right there.
Well, then you gotta take solace in your predictions anyway.
Yeah. Shiva's also on Sylar, by the way. He's incredibly tanky at this point. I don't even know what he gets as his last item. Like a heart?
I think heart. Heart, maybe replace the mech with a refresher or something if this goes long enough.
Oh, you should totally get an F-Blade.
Oh, E-Blade would be better.
So fast.
Well, there's not a nuke damage on Vici, but it would be good when these BKBs are down.
It'd be hilarious, too.
It would be funny, that's for sure.
I want to see a Reaper Scythe off an F-Blade. Like, Spectre would die in half a second if he got fissured.
How much HP kill? I wonder how much that kills you from.
It's gotta be pretty low.
Or pretty
Like,
low
still...
amount of HP miss you mean, right?
Yeah. Like, the Aghanim still doesn't really buff your damage by that
so
much.
Sice actually gets juked out here by Yao. Dodging away from that stomp. Now the BKB forced up by Sylar. Everybody BKB'ing. And then nobody fighting. Okay, well. I have a BKB too. Hey, look at me. I also have a BKB.
It's pretty much that they're just showing the force, right? Like, we're not afraid to fight. We've all got one.
It's like in... You know in, like, Star Wars, when, like, the Jedis and the Sith fight, before they actually really try to kill each other, they kind of show off their force powers? It's pretty much like that. It's like, ooh, look at me, I can throw rocks. Oh, look at me, I can, you know, throw people off buildings. Alright, let's try to kill each other now.
I've never seen that movie, so I don't understand the reference.
You've never watched Star Wars?
No.
Oh, what is wrong with you, Will?
I didn't know how to ride a bike until I met you, so I don't know why this is so surprising to you.
I'm still not convinced you know how to ride a bike. You made the appearance of riding one time with a lot of moral support from Kevin.
Did Kevin tell you what happened? Like
No.
the day after? I told him I could do it, and I finally, after like 2 hours, I did it, and I decided to try going on the curb. You know, like how Lawrence's house had that curb. So I went up on the curb, but I tried going off of it, and I went too fast, and I nailed myself in the nuts, and I rolled into the street, and like 6 cars passed by.
How is that possible? Like, how does a human being fail so hard?
I don't know. Kevin was dying though. Like he thought that was the funniest thing in the entire world.
What a friend. Alright. We might actually have conflict now. Engage combat mode. They've got a disruptor agonist ready to go. Ice Ice fishing around here. Goes for the blink onto the high ground. Oh, Ice Ice. This could be trouble, my friend. Pulled right back down into the entirety of LGD. They're going to have to hunt for this soon. Necrophos ult coming through. Centaur out of the picture. Where's that Spectre? Haunting it now, but FY getting pursued out now by the BKB Batrider, while meanwhile it's Super and Black dishing out the whatever damage they can. But with everyone BKB'd, it's only Yao who really does much. Throwing out a Crypt Swarm. Black still chasing heroes out, but getting nothing accomplished aside, well, actually to kill the supports. Man, the lack of death notifications or any kind of sound effects is throwing me off a bit. But yeah, they get the supports, but they do lose their Centaur, and he also stole Exorcism, which is also difficult to see in these fights.
He did? Oh, I told you he would.
Honestly, man, I think I need to reconnect, because I'm not seeing like half of this stuff.
Dude, you're complaining? I actually haven't seen any part of this game.
I did
like,
see
I'm not
like
trolling you. Like, I'm still stuck at like the 4-minute mark.
It's okay. They're just gonna call us noobcasters, man. It's fine.
I've been trying to like figure out what's been going on by what you're saying.
You have to do detective work.
Yeah, the side screen still like shows me what items, but I tried reconnecting earlier. I'm still stuck at like the 4-minute mark. Like I have no idea what's going on in this game. I'm not gonna lie.
You're a good bullshitter, Will.
Aren't I though?
Yeah.
Like you probably would have been able to tell if I didn't tell you just now.
Well, I did see you reconnecting a bunch, so that was kind of a giveaway, but
yeah, this game is not. I don't see anything going on. Like I've been trying really hard, but I've had to make do with what I've been listening to you say in the side like button recaps.
No, dude, don't you know it's only us that have issues connecting to Perfect World. Nobody else in the world has problems.
Yeah, I'm in Korea, like South Korea. I should be fine. Like I'm so close geographically.
No, you are fine. We're the only ones that have issues with it, dude.
It really is just me.
Don't you read Reddit? God.
I've reconnected 6 times. It's telling me I have 37 ping, and I can't do anything about it.
That's a pretty damn shitty 37 ping.
So who's winning now that I've revealed that fact that I don't know what's going on?
Well, according to the graphs, VG Gaming are now up. They lead by 4,000 gold, 2,500 experience. But it still feels basically even to me. Like, it just hinges on who gets the better fight off. And they do get tanked up a lot now, Yao. He's picked up a Heart of Tress. This will help him to deal with the Spectre's burn damage and just let him play more aggressively in these fights. And now LGD will smoke. Plus, they've got Batman. You can never count out Batman. He blinks and now goes for the lasso. Did not BKB! Where's the BKB Angela? Now he's going to pop it, but the timing is a little bit off already as they charge in with an Echo Slam. Ice now trying to fight through that. Will kill off another in exchange. Yeah, heroes are dying. Things are happening. Ice will end up falling as well to a Necrophos ultimate. But I don't know if it's enough. This Spectre's just too damn strong and super. With his ultimate ending, will be forced back, able to survive. Do they have the stolen Necrophos? The stolen, ult still going for the Death Prophet? I believe FY does. There's so many ghosts. Yeah, there are 2 ults. He stole Lasso and used it as well. I think he used it on a creep, but not even 100% sure about that. Perfect World, please.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure, judging by what you said, Vici won that fight.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree with what I said.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they took that top... Oh, the game updated for me. Sweet, yeah, they took that top tower. And the Spectre seems to have a lot of farm. Like, if I remember correctly from the item pop-ups, I think he has a Manta. Or he's like really close to it at this point. And then I think once he finishes the Manta, Black's gonna be unkillable.
So FY has managed to steal Fissure, Necrophos ult twice, Death Prophet ult that he's used twice. He's now stolen Lasso. He's disrupted the Batrider initiation twice. Though to be fair, that one was all on in July because he didn't BKB before jumping in. And I mean, the only thing we haven't seen is him steal all these spells in rapid succession to win them the game.
There's no way he's going to be able to do that, though. Especially with the way the Necro ult goes off. Like, the DP ult is always going to come out first, and then the Necro ult's going to come out in the mid... Like, when you're trying to burst off one hero, and then the Lasso should also be the first spell used. Like, if you were able to get that in conjunction, it's more LGD's fault than him playing well.
For now, Vici Gaming, with that Spectre, they lead by 6,000, well, a little over 5,000 gold, actually. 3,000 experience. Neither team particularly close to breaking base. Tier 3 is all still standing. Your Spectre now completes a Manta style. Getting very close to 6-slot territory. Black, he's still got room for the refresher and the stash, and for maybe like a butterfly to boot, but beyond that, he's pretty much 6-slot, unless he decides the BKB isn't really worth much and decides to replace it. So we are looking at a Spectre who's nearing her prime, and as for LGD, there's still room to grow here for them as well. Yao can complete his Shiva's Guard, can go for that late game refresher. Sylar can pick up his Heart of Tarask if he so chooses, as MMI will casually drop a kinetic field walking up the hill for a bit of vision. And well,
Vici. Oh, I was gonna say Vici don't actually push that quickly, so it's not like LGD's completely out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. Like, if they can get one pretty decent fight off and that Necrophos ultimate on the Spectre or any sort of key target, they can still win fights and push down the mid lane 4-on-5 for quite some time. So it's not like they're out of the game, but their window's like starting to close pretty quickly. That's a 5-second BKB on Sylar. MMY's got his Aghanims. Like, what else does a Disruptor really get at this point that's gonna
the refresher.
change your world?
You get a refresher. That's the only thing.
I mean, at that, but like, how is he gonna get that LD? Like,
Okay,
they're 5-manning everywhere.
it can happen, but FY had a Midas when he did it, so that was the big difference.
It's gonna be unlikely, and I don't think the Yao Shiva's Guard is gonna change the game either. And so, the scary thing for LGD right now is there's no single item that you can get that's gonna change the makeup of this game. Whereas Vici,
the
they
state
have
of
so
the
many
game,
ways. Yeah, like FY can still pick up like an Aghanims. Super can get pretty much anything. Like, he's got an item slot left. The Skywrath could get like a Ghost Scepter, a Blink Dagger, whatever he wants. Ice could pick up a Heart or more armor. The Spectre can still get one major item. So there's still like a lot of options for Vici Gaming that will make this game.
Be careful, Sylar. Stomps there to start. Now the Mystic Flare to follow up, and they just jump right in on the Necrophos. Then FY follows up with the Chain Stun. He's managed to steal the lasso again. How does he keep on doing it? And now he's going to charge in looking for openings. They will try to glimpse back the Alchemist wall. Your Spectre chases forward, hunting for more. They'll bring down the Necrophos. They stomp it again, looking for In July. FY stealing Death Pulse to keep his team at full HP during this fight. They've brought down 3. They've lost basically nothing. And now they can push in. They'll take a tier 2. Vici Gaming, just with the big outplays. To boot, there was a gem dropped on the ground, and I'm not sure who's going to end up claiming it. There's a gem right now in Fenrir, and one on MMY, so I guess they picked theirs back up. But Vici Gaming, they say, Haunt's down, we're going to fight. Buyback on the Batrider, but he doesn't have a lasso, and Super just comes slap chopping straight down the top lane. Black there at his side. Has a buyback, both of them do, if need be, but and FY to boot, so 3 buybacks already on the Radiant. Actually make it 4 with the Centaur now having his. And they're just going to push forward. Vici Gaming in game 1 of this best of 3, very close to not only a first lane of Rax, but basically to a GG. If they get one more good fight, that's probably going to be it for LGD, and LGD get nothing out of this. Just a buyback on the Batrider, multiple deaths for this team. The whole concept of running the Necrolite Death Prophet just seems to be unraveling as this game continues.
Yeah, there's no burst damage anymore on LGD. That's the major issue right now. Like, how are you going to get anybody from half HP for the Necro to ult in the first place, right? Like, there's no way you're going to do it to the Spectre, who's got 3k health. The Centaur's even a difficult proposition. Super's got a BKB, and he's got like 2k health even without his ultimate on, and he's got an AC. Like, it's just not possible anymore for LGD to burst anybody down. Their timing window and what their strategy was meant to do was get a Blink Dagger on the Batrider, get pickoffs, pick up the mech, and just force engagements around the map. But I think the major thing that Vici did to win this game was they recognized that the mech was the timing, right? So they went and they killed the Necrolite right before he picked it up. Right when the Necrolite got it, they killed him again. And so it just delayed the pushes by about 5 or 6 minutes longer than you wanted it to go. And then them taking tier 2s took so long, so they weren't even able to get the Roshan objective. And they didn't even do that like until much later into the game because they needed the Death Prophet ult just to get kills and fights. Like, whenever they picked off a hero with their smoke, they had to use the Death Prophet ult just to get that person low. So there's just not enough damage anymore coming out of the way of LGD.
Okay, so if you're LGD Blitz, what's your plan? It sounds fairly bleak from what you're saying, but how do you get back into this one? Tough question, I know.
I have seen the movie Back to the Future, so I know it's possible.
To travel through time.
Yeah, so and go back into and say like Psylite, don't die those 2 times, and don't let FY take your Necro ult and make you die for like a minute and a half. Like we need you alive for this time. Like realistically, it's 50 minutes into a game and you've got a Spectre that can still pick up a butterfly, and he's crushing you in fights without one. And Ice 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 is about to pick up a heart as well. Like I'm all for saying, oh, games can still be exciting, but I think at this point in the game, LGD it's just lineup limited at this point.
Okay, well, with that said, FY now has an Eggs. So we've got a 5-second cooldown on a Spell Steal. He now has an Aghanim's upgraded Necrolite ultimate to work with, potentially an Aghanim's upgraded Disruptor ult, though he doesn't seem to be gunning for that too much in the fights. And, well, even the Earthshaker, potentially. Although I doubt that's one the Rubik really wants to be putting himself in harm's way. So, more than anything, this will just be about the low cooldown Spell Steal. Expecting at least 2 to 3 big Spell Steals in the next fight if all goes well for him. And like you said, it just goes back to... It's not just that FY is playing well, although he certainly is, but he just can't really be a priority. You can't focus the Rubik and then just leave the Spectre, the Alchemist who's nearly got an Abyssal Blade and is 6-slotted just to rampage through your team, so... FY just has basically free roaming in these fights. Or free reign, I should say.
They tried going on him that one time in middle, and he just kind of outplayed by getting the lift off before he could get gone on, and so that's not the target you want to go on, but at the same time, if you leave him alone, he just disrupts fights by himself so much. Like, this is such fantastic Rubik play. He's able to catch the Bat Rider every time he comes in. He's able to steal, like, a major spell in every single fight. But at the same time, like, how are you going to focus him, like you said, with the Spectre on the map that's got 6 slotted at this point?
Yeah, the Butterfly's nearly out. Once that happens, it will be 6 slotted. And from there, it's just your Refresh Orb. And they'll take the Roshan now. Just going the way of the Centaur. They'll slow down Yao with the concussive shot. And they'll manage to steal something. What did they grab? It's Kinetic Field. And they'll haunt in just to try and slow these retreating heroes. LGD on the way out and Black on the way in. BKB charging forth into the midst of the entire enemy team. Ice 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 finds that opening with a stomp. Goes in. Simultaneously, your lasso was used by In July. The Rubik just sits back, waits for a good opening. He's stole another spell. He's gotten the Reaper Scythe. FY's doing it again. He's going to bring Yao out of the game. Deletes him from Dota for 122 seconds. And now he steals more. Now it's a fissure. Oh, actually, no, he got Echo Slam. Even better, I suppose. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, super. Just back off. Your Rubik will win you this game from here.
Yeah, that was the peace moment. Once he stole it again somehow, and now he's got the Aghanim Scepter. Like, I think that's game. There's no way that LGD is going to be able to fight this out.
Yeah, that ultimate is turns out to be a double-edged sword. So they have a Spectre and an Acronym Necrolite. That's how this game ends. You can't win that.
Oh, they called GG.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, you didn't get the messages.
Yeah, I don't get messages in this game.
I lost you there, Will.
No, I'm good. Okay. So, like, I can't stress enough, like, the big moment in this game was, although Ice 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 picked up his Blink Dagger super late, that those first 2 kills on the Necrolite were just absolutely huge to the rest of this game, because it just slowed down the push by so much. It took 16 minutes to take down the first tier 2 tower mid, and especially with the kind of lineup that LGD had, you needed that to go about like 7 or 8 minutes faster.
Well, on that note, that only wraps up game 1. I mean, it's been like 4 hours since the series was supposed to start, or... Well, maybe not quite, 3 hours, but... Yeah, we're going to head into game 2 now. LGD have a shot at redemption here, but VG Gaming look good. They take game 1 in the best of 3. They're 1 win away from moving on to the lower bracket, round number 3, I believe, or to either be Cloud9 or Team Malaysia waiting. And with all that said, Newbie vs. Alliance, I believe, has just ended, though I don't know the result. But either way, guys, stick around. WCA action continues here, continues on /Beyond the Summit 2 on Twitch, and /Dota Starlighter _. And of course, I'm LD. I was joined by Blitz. You can follow him at Blitz_Dota on Twitter, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.